Many of the classical artists were storytellers, and when you compare the way they tell a story to the way another artist tells the same story, sometimes it can be very illuminating. Holy Week is coming up. The theme of the paintings that I'm going to discuss today are the betrayal and the arrest of Jesus. Let's start with this painting by Lucas Cranach the Elder. It was painted in 1538. It depicts the arrest of Jesus Christ. It depicts the betrayal by Judas Iscariot. In our time, we are accustomed to seeing paintings, narrative paintings, capture events at a particular point in time. This painting is a little looser as far as the point in time depiction. We're accustomed to the story happening in a certain sequence, but this slightly collapses those sequences so it's possible for us to see Judas famously greeting Christ with a kiss. Perhaps he's just kissed Christ. Judas still clasps the purse he received from the Pharisees containing the 30 coins of silver. We see the aftermath of Peter's assault of the servant of the high priest. Peter appears to be resheathing his sword, and if you look closely at the servant, you can see that he has been separated from his right ear. In the meantime, Jesus Christ is shoving away the hand of Judas Iscariot. He seems uninterested in returning the insincere greeting of his betrayer and more interested in bringing healing to the injured man. And up in the upper left-hand corner, we see the disciple who is wearing only a sheet, who fled, and his pursuer is in the process of grabbing off the sheet. Artist Cranach exhibits painterly variety in this painting. You can see it in the various poses of the characters that he inserts into the paintings. You can see the painterly variety in the various expressions in the painting, from Peter's rage to Christ's compassion, to the sternness of some of the soldiers, to the wonder in the faces of others, to the terror and the pain of the high priest's servant. You can even see it in the different helmets that the various soldiers wear. You can see it in the great variety of weapons in the background. One of the more interesting nuances and varieties of this painting is the variety of lighting sources. There seem to be four. One is the sundown in the background. Another one is the lantern that's now on the ground, dropped by the servant of the high priest as he receives the blow from Peter. This is usual in depictions of this scene. Several of the characters are glancing upward. The viewer tends to follow their glances. And when they follow their glances, their eyes are led along the shafts of the weapons to the top of the painting. In the background, there's a cloud that seems to have its own internal illumination, lightning within the cloud, as if there's a war going on in heaven that reflects the violence being done to the Savior on earth. So the sufficient lighting for this nighttime scene seems to come from a fortuitous lightning strike somewhere, perhaps in the clouds, that illuminates
the scene at that moment in time. For me, the unexplained oddity of this painting is the moon up in the upper left-hand corner. Given Cranach's otherwise impeccable attention to detail, I do not understand why the sliver of the moon that is illuminated is on the opposite side of where the sunset seems to be. Although I don't have complete confidence in my explanation for it, I know that it was not accidental, and it was important enough that artist Cranach made 3 of the weapon shafts point at that moon, calling the viewer's attention to it. My guess, and that's all it is that the moon in its particular phase, that crescent phase, represents the devil's horns, and the fact that it seems to be out of whack with nature reflects the disruption, the moral disruption on an epic cosmic scale that's taking place at that very moment on the earth beneath. Sometimes, with great art, the choices that the artist makes seem as if they were inevitable. I'm going to show another painting of the same event, painted around the time of this painting by Lucas Cranach, to demonstrate the contrast between the choices that artist made and the choices that Lucas Cranach made. This painting by Albrecht Altdorfer was painted about 25 years before the painting by Lucas Cranach. There are several similarities. Jesus is there, Judas is there, Peter is there, and so is the servant of the high priest. The servant is sprawled on the ground, having just received the blow from Peter. There are dramatic differences too. For example, the soldiers dominate this painting by sheer number. Also, Judas is divided from Christ, and his look is doleful. As in the Lucas Cranach painting, there are numerous sources of illumination in this painting. At the bottom of the painting, in the foreground, the unfortunate servant has dropped his lantern, and it supplies illumination for the painting. In the middle of the painting, in the middle distance, there are 2 torches and another lantern. And also in the middle of the painting, in the distance, the setting sun provides backlighting. The dark gray storm clouds and the unexplained illumination from above suggest, as in the Cranach painting, that there is a lightning storm going on and that the lightning strike illuminates this moment in time. Finally, before closing, I would like to mention a couple of more things about this painting by Lucas Cranach. Although it is a religious subject, the artist Cranach was not unmindful of his need to earn a living and the helpfulness of happy patrons. It's hard not to notice that mighty Christ-defending Peter bears a strong resemblance to Frederick III, the Elector of Saxony. And amidst all of this hubbub, Christ is not focused on the exciting events around him, and he's not focused on the violence that's about to overtake him. With great pathos, his attention is focused on the healing of the fallen, stricken servant. Perhaps the Elector Frederick III was duly flattered at being selected for depiction as Saint Peter. But in this painting, love, healing, these have the morally central place and triumph over violence.